Alright guys, so today I thought I would talk about how I structure my tracks so that they're DJ friendly and they have defined sections and build-ups and breakdowns and mixing bars, kick-offs and all that sort of thing, and how I carefully plan out how long each section is so that it works well when I mix it with my other tunes as well. So I'm going to show you each of the sections and talk about what I've done and why. So this is my Worlds Within track. If you haven't heard it, I'm going to let you listen to the kick-off quickly. So that's the main kick-off section, but I'm going to go right back at the start now and talk you through everything from the intro all the way to the mixing out bars at the end. I always like to start them really basic and then they progress and get more complicated towards the breakdown. Start adding new instruments and building them up, but to start off, it starts off really simple like this. So to start off there, all I've done is just the vocal sample, or a vocal rap, with a bit of an echo on it, and then a bit of the acid line that I made. And then a little fill. And then I bring in the offbeat stab, but I don't bring in the bass yet, so it's quite light, it doesn't have the bass or the sub bass. So then I bring in the bass drum. So I usually have one section of 64 beats with no kick drum. Really simple. And then for the next 64 beat section, I'll have the kick. So then it's much easier to start beat matching when you're mixing if there's a bass drum there, I find. So you can hear the beats banging together. And then at the 33 mark I drop in the main bass, the deeper bass, so it's not just the stab anymore, it's got like the low bass. And then I've got loads of little 4 beat gaps and 2 beat gaps and one beat gaps here for the DJ to play with, where the beat drops out and there's just a vocal sample or a sound effect. So all I've done is chopped up the vocals in different ways, and there's a bit of a vocal sample on this fill, which I then cut and put on the offbeat along here. so that adds a bit more bounce to it, and it's going to be really noticeable when you're mixing it in. You'll be able to hear that. So on these bits towards the breakdown, like when it's starting to build up, I always like to have things that are going to be really noticeable when you're mixing, so people can tell that it's that tune that's mixing in. So it's always good to have a vocal or some sort of synth that's going to really stand out in the mix. And then on this last section here, it just starts building up and building tension before it drops into the breakdown. So then this is probably the quietest part of the track. It's really plain, it's just like pads and a bit of a twinkly like bell sort of harp pattern thing. It's a bit of a boom and a down sweep there just to help smooth the transition. And then I just introduce the melody here quite softly. And then at this bit the melody's going to come in louder, more full. So as this gets towards where it's going to kick in, I start building up the snares and the drum rolls and the risers, and I start getting the crash cymbals closer together and stuff like that as well. So it just helps build up the tension, so you know something big's about to happen. And then just before it kicks in, I have a 4-beat gap where the beats disappear and then they'll come back in when it drops here. So I just have the full melody here, and with the full kick and bass, and all the layers of the lead and everything, and then I loop the main melody twice, and then after that, sometimes I have a second melody, but in this track I've decided to have the midsection straight after it. So that's just made up of screeches and raps and sounds, just to take you away from the melody and have something a bit different for a while. And then it drops back into the second breakdown, but this time, instead of it just being like the pads and soft, I've put the melody straight back in, and there's a roll bass there as well, so it's already got quite a bit of energy with it when it drops. And then I just build up the melody again. This time I think it goes on twice as long as the last build up, so it's got a bit more time to build suspense before it drops. I've got the claps building up there as well, getting closer together. And then it's just the first melody again, but this time for this track I've decided to keep the second melody for the second half of the track, so you don't hear it at all in the first half of the track, and then it just comes here towards the end. And then after that it's just the mix out bars, which are fairly simple. put that offbeat vocal sample back in again. That one shot that's been chopped off of this loop. What I find works best for me is to have the rap vocals at the start. So I have like the full words and rap vocals at the start, and then at the end I don't usually have any vocal words like that, because if you're mixing a track in that's got vocals at the start and your track's got vocals at the end, then you're going to have two vocals at the same time and it's going to clash. So I keep the raps at the start, and then I keep the end there, the mixing out quite plain with no vocals. And then for the last little bit, it's going to get rid of that vocal sample as well, and it's just going to be basically the kick and bass with a little bit of percussion. So it just builds up at the end, and then there's a big bang, down sweep explosion and stuff at the end, and then that's the end. In all of my tracks, usually I'll have 4 sections at the start, so 4 sections is 64. So what I'll do is I'll have 4 sections here. If I zoom in a bit, you might be able to see them. So this is the first section here, up until the 17 mark. And then section up to here. So here's 2 sections. And then I have the main bass come in, and then that goes on for 2 sections. And I just keep the bass in mono, so it's just the monotone, it's just the one bass note. I don't play the full bass line like it goes with the melody, it's just the first note of my main bass line. Otherwise, when you're mixing, that can clash as well if you've got a full bass line that's changing pitches. So I'll have that up to the 65 mark, and then it drops. So then what I do is make this as long, the same length as my last kickoff till the end. So from the last kickoff till the end is 4 sections. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the intro is 1, 2, 3, 4. So if I am mixing a track from the last kickoff, the track that I'm mixing out of will finish just as the new track breaks down. So if I slice this where the main melody is, I'll put it at the start and I'll show you how from the last kick off to the end is exactly the same size as the intro bars. So then an easy way to remember is you just do it up to the 65 mark, mean, you don't have to do this, but that's what I found works best for me. Up to the 65 mark, which is 4 sections. So yeah, that's it. And I can do the same with any of my tracks. So if I ever listen to this, it should do the same. So yeah, that's how I do it. So hopefully this will help you a bit. But there's no right or wrong way to do it. You can just do it your own way. But to make this easier for myself to mix and for others to mix, that's what I find best, the best way of doing it.